Thank you very much, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very honored to give my speech in front of such a distinguished guest. I should be rather serious after such a witty introduction. Maybe you might be disappointed. I wouldn't give any shock to you this evening. And I would like to talk about my literary autobiography, since I consider you might be interested about such circumstances in literary field in Japan. It seems to be quite different from literary field in foreign country. And title should be How I Have Been Grown Up as a Japanese Writer. I like to talk from during the war period. I was not enlisted as a soldier because mobilization cause. When I got the mobilization, I had serious ill. I had bronchitis, but the innocent military doctor misjudged it as a tuberculosis. Luckily enough. And I was not enlisted, and I was working at the Navy airplane factory as a student at my college period. And I resisted during the war period, and just I made myself as a cave dweller. I built my own castle, and I wanted to live in it. And I read only Japanese classics and sometimes French psychological literature like Raymond Rodriguez's novel. And the reason was very simple. At that period, we have had nothing to buy. All shops are closed, and only shops which are open are second-hand booksellers. And I bought many old books and Japanese classics, which made me quite exceptional among Japanese young modern writers. Most of modern writers in Japan wouldn't pay any attention to Japanese classics. And the reason why I liked Raymond Rodriguez is very simple. It is problem of age. I wanted to compete with him because he died at 20s. And I thought I could die at 20s, at 1945. But unfortunately, I have survived like that. And at the airplane factory, it was in Kanagawa Prefecture. And every night, we observed the sky of Tokyo from the air shelter. And it sometimes there was bombing in the Tokyo city. It was beautiful fireworks I have never seen in my life. And I felt it is a feast of death, which brought me some romantic idea of the death of sudden about, something like that. But I was quite busy with translating of W.B. Yeats' That Hawk's Well in Japanese. And I considered myself completely out of fashion during the war because I'm translating W.B. Yeats. And such my attitude was preserved even after the war. And everything was upset and completely changed after the war since 1945. But still I kept my old customs. And I had to consider myself now completely out of fashion. But yes, I must explain you about our system in literary field. How I became to be a professional writer. In Japan, a short story is most important test for young writers. It is sort of a 4-round match for green boy in boxing. And if he can fight in 4 rounds, he can fight 5 rounds, 6 rounds, more and more. And short story writing is such a sort of 4-round match. And I showed my manuscript to Mr. Kawabata. You probably know about his name. His works are translated into English, A Snow Country or 1,000 Cranes, something like that. And he was extremely kind to me to help me to show my short story on literary magazine, which is called Human, which is very popular at the period and vanished right now. And because of him, I became to have very, very small fame as a short story writer, as a newcomer in literary field. But still I was out of fashion. At that period, Mr. Dazai Osamu's work was absolutely popular, and he was loved, respected, and admired by younger generation. And his work was translated also in English as Setting Sun or Human Lost. And he committed double suicide, and which made him as a hero in modern literature in Japan. But his characteristics of his literature was depressing feeling after the war period, and self-pity, and the symbol of all nihilism of younger generations, and hopeless situations, something like that. Of course, I resisted it, because he was so famous. And all friends surrounded myself were crazy about Mr. Dazai, and they insisted me to go to see him, to go to meet him. It was unforgettable memory for myself. Maybe it was 1947, I think, when my friend took me to some dirty restaurant. He was surrounded by many fans at the upstairs of the restaurant, dirty tatami, and very bad quality sake and food at 1947. And he looked like a very romantic type of writer, a long hair, and very sad face. And I felt myself as if a literally assassin, because at the first meeting to himself, I suddenly said, "I hate your work." He was surprised, but because he has never heard such a statement from any younger generation, he just admired and loved. And he looks like very angry, but gradually calmed down, and talked to his friends beside of him. I still remember his saying, "I know he loves me, because he came here, as a matter of fact." It is a beautiful statement. And I think it was the last moment I met him. And a few months later, he committed suicide. And I think I started to walk a complete different way from him since I heard this statement. Because maybe sometime I might feel like that when I am told by some younger generation, "I hate your work," something like that. But I never intend to say, "I know he loves me." It is a most characteristic statement of self-pity and most characteristic significance of his literature. After that, in 1952, I had the first trip all around the world. As I told you, before then, I kept to be the cave dweller, and I hid myself into my small castle, built by myself from the wartime. But in this trip, I had a boat to the United States, which took 2 weeks, quite a boring trip. But first time I enjoyed sunbathing at upper deck, and I met sunshine. I met the sun. I met the sun at the first time in my life, and I found out I can be still familiar to the sunshine, which was a very great invention of my life. And particularly when I visited Greece, I was so deeply impressed by the bright sunshine and the blue sky of a Greek country. And I reached my very specific conclusion from my own point of view. It was as follows. In my point of view, a spirit or soul must be the Christian idea or Christian invention. In old classical Greece, it didn't exist. It might be a wrong idea, but I thought so. And old Greek just wanted to keep the balance between intelligence and physics, Sophia and Somer. And I felt as if I had a revolution in my mind. And as soon as I came back to Japan, I started to write my novel, Sound of Waves, which is obviously based on the Daphnis and Chloe, and is old Greek novel. But still, I preserved my character as a cave dweller, and my works came through like Monsieur Anouilh's plays in French literature, pièces roses and pièces noires, in turns. And all my novels could be divided into just two divisions. And after 30 years, like any bird, I became to be relaxed in my own nest. I needed a wife. And I got married. And the first reason I got married Yoko is because she's an artist's daughter. My father-in-law is a Japanese painter. And she has no imagination at all as for artists. Very important thing. And secondly, of course, I got marry her because I was attracted by her, needless to say. But our married life is still going on relatively peacefully. But sometime during such a peaceful life, we get the children. Still, the old memory comes to my mind. It's the memory of during the war. And I remember one scene which happened during the war when I was working at the airplane factory. One motion picture was shown there for the entertainment for the working students, which was based on the novel of Mr. Yukio Mishima. And it was maybe May time of 1945, the very last of the war. An old student, I was 20s, couldn't believe we could be survived after the war. And I remember one scene of the film. There was the street scene of Ginza before the war. There were a lot of neon signs, the beautiful neon signs. It was glittering. And we believed we couldn't see all in my life. We can never see it. But, as you know, we see it actually right now, and in the streets there are more and more neon signs on it. But sometimes when the